Welcome to 100 Yards of Football this morning. It's our college football history, a game that's dear to everyone's heart. They say the greatest college football game in college football history. Nebraska playing Oklahoma on Thanksgiving Day, November the 25th, 1971. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. And I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Man. Going back to my childhood, Thanksgiving Day. 11 years old. We over grandmother's house, Miss Leela Turner, bless your soul in heaven, and Mr. Sam Turner's house. Located in my hometown in Memphis, Tennessee, on Mississippi Boulevard. All the family members are gathered around. There's turkey, that great peach cobbler, cabbage, greens, and my grandmother used to love to cook this coconut cake that I love dearly. And all the loved ones around me to watch that football game. I'm watching all my uncles going back and forth, Nebraska, Oklahoma. And I had an uncle named Opie Turner that ended up marrying a young lady from Oklahoma City. So you know he was a diehard Oklahoma Sooner fan. And just being around all my people I loved at that time, my cousin Sam, Leela, Ruth. Oh, man, it was special watching this football game go down. So we had our great feast that day. Everybody sitting around. And basically, I was cheering for Oklahoma. Nebraska, I just something I didn't like about them. They were just like a big physical bully team. But they had a great coach in Bob Devaney. And boy, they had some special players. Jerry Taggy, Johnny Rogers, Rich Glover, John Dutton, Larry Jacobson, Willie Harper. Those guys ended up being real well for Nebraska. And then Oklahoma came in the game with Jack Mildren, who had an outstanding game. Greg Pruitt, John Harrison, Tinker Owens. What a phenomenal football game from an offensive standpoint, because really I thought there was going to really be a defensive battle. And then 1971 was so special that year because you had so many great players that was on the college football scene. Pat Sullivan won the Heisman Trophy that year. He was a very special player. His partner at the wide receiver position, Terry Beasley, was an outstanding player. Ed Marinario, that played at Cornell. Can you say Hill Street Blues? Ended up being the actor. Sherman White at California. Tony Casanova at LSU. Bobby Majors at Tennessee. Clarence Ellis at Notre Dame. There was so many great players on the scene that college football season in 1971. Let's get to the day, though. November the 25th, 1971. The game of the century. Number one against number two. Nebraska came in the game with a 29 unbeaten streak. They had one tie within that streak, and they had a 20 straight game-winning streak. And they had one of the top offenses in the country. But their defense was number one in the country at the time. Oklahoma came in the game with a high-powered rushing offense that led the country at 472 yards a game. Boy, the game got off. 3.5 minutes in the game. Oklahoma got stopped, 3 and out. Decided to punt. That young man from Omaha, Nebraska, Johnny Rogers, fields that punt and went 72 yards. And boy, it was a special return. You can go look at it on YouTube. He broke at least 6 tackles. And all of a sudden, Nebraska was on top 7-0. The thing about that football game was the running back, Jeff Kinney, who had 34 carries that day, 177 yards. Jerry Taggart only had 65 yards passing. But Nebraska didn't do nothing offensively differently. They just ran the ball with him. Nebraska went up 14-3 in the game early. Oklahoma came roaring back, 14-10. Jack Mildren, the quarterback from Abilene, Texas. Bless his soul. He in heaven right now. But he had a phenomenal football game. If Nebraska would have won that game, he would have been the player of the game. And might have would have had something to say about the Heisman Trophy also. He had 137 yards passing, 5 of 11. But he was throwing the ball mercilessly. Then he had over 130 yards rushing. But boy, he was special that day. John Harrison, who played wide receiver, had 2 touchdowns. He had 5 receptions for 119 yards. The game went back and forth. Nebraska, I said, went up 14-3. Oklahoma came roaring back 14-10. Then Nebraska went up 28-17. Then Oklahoma came back and took the lead in the fourth quarter, 31-28. But the drive of the game, a little under 7 minutes to go, Nebraska goes 76 yards. Jerry Taggy, who really hadn't done nothing on the afternoon and throwing the football, made the play of the game. It was 3rd and 9 at the Oklahoma 46-yard line. He rolled out. The pressure was coming on him hard. He was going to the ground, and he made a tremendous throw through 2 linebackers to the young man from Omaha North, Mr. Johnny Rogers. First down, Nebraska. At the Oklahoma 36-yard line. And 4 plays later, Jeff Kinney scored with 1:38 remaining, and Nebraska won the football game 35-31. What a great football game. The Stars, Jeff Kinney of Nebraska, player of the game, 34 carries I just mentioned, 177 yards. Johnny Rogers, electrifying 72-yard punt return. Oklahoma, they stopped running back. Greg Pruitt was shut down. He had only 53 yards rushing. But Jack Mildred had over 267 yards total offense. I told you, 137 yards in the air and 130 on the ground. A football game that people are still talking about this to the day. Another thing about that football game, even though Oklahoma moved the ball up and down the field, they had close to 467 yards total offense. But Rich Glover, their outstanding middle guard, had 22 tackles in that game. 22 tackles. What a football game. It was special. Bob Devaney, the head coach of Nebraska, said in his coaching career, this was the best football team I ever coached in Nebraska. The postscript about this game, Nebraska went on to the Orange Bowl and beat number 2 Alabama and Bear Bryant and Johnny Musso 38-6 and went on and won their 2nd consecutive national championship. Oklahoma went to the Sugar Bowl and stumped all over Auburn 40-22 with Heisman Trophy winner Pat Sullivan. But the one thing I took from this game, it went back and forth, back and forth. You thought Nebraska was going to pull away. Oklahoma stayed. And Jack Mildred, as I said, the quarterback from Oklahoma, in my mind, if it wouldn't have been for Jeff Kinney having his outstanding game, he would have been the player of the game. And another thing, at the end of the year, the Big 8 ended up being the best conference in America. Nebraska ended up being number 1, Oklahoma being number 2, and Colorado came number 3 in the final poll. What a football game it was. Nebraska, Oklahoma, as you see the image there, it made Sports Illustrated. And it's a game that is never going to be forgotten in college football history. After you watch my video today, go look at it on YouTube. You're going to enjoy every minute of that football game. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, 31. The Oklahoma Sooners, 28. And as my people at that time says, it's all about the red and white of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'd like to give special thanks to my producer, Mr. Logan Landers, for making it happen this morning. Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy some college football this weekend. Scott Frost, you're going to get it turned around in Nebraska. And you know what, Oklahoma? Lincoln Rattler and Spencer Rattler, y'all still there at number 4 in the country. Boomer Sooner. Y'all be blessed. I'm Vincent Turner of 100 Yards of Football.